Hi, John Dwyer here, and thank you for visiting this presentation, and my colleague and friend, John Formica. How are you, John?
I am great, JD. Great, glad to be here.
Well, what we are going to talk about in this particular presentation is, plus one. And you might go, okay, well, is this an accountancy presentation? No, neither John nor I can add one on one, so it's not going to be a numbers business. We're talking about plus oneing to your clients, to your customers. In other words, giving them something extra, plus one, that perhaps your competitors won't do. And we can bet that given that less than 5% of the world's businesses, subscribe to this wow factor Disney style marketing that we're providing you with the mantra of, you won't have any competition if you plus one. John, can you tell me, coming from a Disney background, as you have, what is the meaning behind the plus one mantra?
Absolutely. Well, Walt Disney, we all know, was a stickler for details and everything else. But Walt wanted to create, when he created Disneyland, he wanted to create something different, something unique, something special that people will talk about. And he created what he called the plus factor. And that's where this plus one came from. And basically what he meant by is that everybody that works at Disney, what you're trying to do is plus it by one. In other words, try to do this much more than what you're doing today. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that you're doing, do this much more. And this much could be anything, but it's not this much, it's this much. And that's how you continue to raise the bar, wowing customers, exceeding the expectations, because meeting expectations and customer satisfaction, anybody can do that. But you want loyal customers. You want customers coming back over and over and talking about them. And they do that because stories are told. And stories are told by your business by these little plus one factors. So think about plus one. What can you do? What can your team do? What can anybody in your business do this much more anytime during the day to make your business this much better?
I've got to give whoever's watching an example that I showcase when I'm doing my presentations on stage, and it's a bit of a story that I make up. I tell a white lie. I bring a slide up behind me and say, look, because the presentations are normally in hotels as yours are, John. And I say, look, I stayed at this hotel last night. And when I checked in, 5 minutes after I checked in, there's a knock at the door and there's one of the staff there with a silver plate. And on the silver plate is cut up strawberries with a chocolate fondue. So there's beautiful melted chocolate in a little bowl. And they've given you a little skewer to put your, strawberry and dip it into the chocolate. And they said, look, Mr. Dwyer, you could have stayed at any hotel. Let's say it was Sydney, Australia. You could have stayed at any hotel in Sydney, but you stayed at our one. We'd just like to say thank you for staying here. I get blown away. And because all the audience, when I show the slide where it shows the chocolate strawberries, they all go, oh my goodness. I said, so who thinks that I would never stay at any other hotel in Sydney when I'm in town again? Or I would stay at what I would call the chocolate strawberry hotel. They'll put their hand up. I said, who thinks that is a plus one, or what I call a wow factor? And they go, good. I said, it took my eyes off the price, because why would I stay anywhere else? And they go, yeah. And I said, who thinks that's brilliant? And they all say, yes. And I go, well, that's BS, because that never happened. I said, I've just made that story up to get the message across that this hotel where I was doing this is run by silly people, okay? Because they could blow me away, knock my socks off with this plus one, so that I would never stay at another hotel in Sydney for the rest of my life. I'd stay at the Chocolate Strawberry Hotel, and that would have cost them $1.50. I wouldn't know what strawberries and stuff cost, because I don't do much shopping, but my wife, when she costed out a dozen or so strawberries cut into halves and a little bit of chocolate fondue, she said it'd be $1.50. So for $1.50, they're getting $300 a night out of me anyway. For a lousy $1.50, they could have me for life by having a plus one. And you know what? There's no hotel in the world that does that.
That's right.
Easy as that.
And it's simple. And plus one doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It's just little extra things that you do that your customers don't expect. And that creates wow, I didn't expect that. Just like if someone walked into your door with a bowl of chocolate strawberries. Right?
I'm glad that John gave me that segue, because the book that I've written, I'm not flogging the book, by the way, okay, but that is the book that I wrote, and it's called How to Wow. So it could be called Plus One, but at the end of the day, that's why we are, sort of brothers from another mother, providing you with this program called If Disney Ran Your Business, because we, I've had a lot of history with Disney, not as much as John, but I've had a lot of history with Disney because I was a licensee, producing product under their licensed properties. And I've been to a lot of Disney conventions and stuff in Orlando. So when we discussed putting this program together, we just said, look, we've mentioned this before, it's a little corny, but peaches and cream, because we are both of the same mantra when it comes to +1ing, wow factoring, direct response marketing, using digital media in a measurable way, not just getting your name out there, but getting their names in here and all that sort of stuff. So we're on the same page. And when you think about +1ing or wow factoring, my goodness, there is no company in the world that comes near Disney, because at the end of the day, they do not have to put that extra fireworks display on at 11 o'clock at night, but they do it anyway. Now, obviously there's a method in the madness. It keeps more people in the park till later, but nonetheless, they probably don't have to do it, but they +1, don't they?
That's right. That's right. And in any business, it's amazing. You may not even know the result of a +1. Great example. One of my clients is a credit union bank. And so when I was working with him, we talked about what can we do to +1 in the lobby. Lobby looks nice, it's attractive, but it just looks like any other credit union, any other bank. And they decided to have a nice little coffee station in the lobby. And we said that's a pretty good plus, because they're members of your credit union, so we'll make them feel comfortable and give them a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. So they provided this coffee service, and then they were excited to share it with me. So I saw, and when I looked at this nice coffee station, they had a really nice setup, and they had a cup, just a plain, simple white cup, a styrofoam cup, and it looked okay, nothing wrong with it. But I said, what can we do to plus the cup this much? And so they came up with a cup like something like this, a little bit more attractive. So the coffee in the cup looks better because it's in a better cup as compared to a styrofoam cup. Mm-hmm. Well, then they went to a Starbucks cup. I don't have a Starbucks cup with me today, but they started to put Starbucks coffee in the lobby. Now, whether you like Starbucks or not, the Starbucks brand is a higher end coffee, so I'm getting more value. I'm not just getting any coffee, I'm getting a Starbucks coffee. And what happened was people would stop in the bank just to get a free cup of coffee. But when they did that, you were able to establish relationships. You can say, hey, good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. How are you? You thought about interest rates, refinance your house, car loans, kids in college. We have a great 529. So they started to talk about these services because more people came into the bank. Do you know, JD, they made more money because someone decided to change the cup and plus it by this much and put a Starbucks, now with Starbucks coffee, of course, but those are the little things that people do. How many of you ever gone to Disney and had those Disney waffles, right? They're shaped like Mickey.
Mickey Mouse.
People ask me, they taste so good. We have them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Believe it or not, they're one of the few items on the menu that are offered breakfast, lunch, and dinner because people want them all the time. And then people ask me, give me the recipe. Well, there is no recipe. It's out of a box mix most of the time. But you make them look like Mickey and they taste better.
+1.
Someone +1 it. And it wasn't, I was told it wasn't a chef, it wasn't a food and beverage manager, it wasn't a marketing director. It was an hourly employee that said, hey, can we plus the waffles by making them look like Mickey? Would that be okay? And the chef said, well, I don't know, let's try it. Becomes the most popular item in there.
But I've got to stop John there. I actually told the waiter that idea. And one of the vacations when I was there, his name was Jeff. And now Jeff has got the credit for that waffle, damn it.
I'm sure. But again, it's little things. And here's the secret. If you're a business owner out there, if you're a manager watching these, I don't want you to think it's your job to come up with the +1s. Because that's one, you have enough things to do. And you might have a couple of those. But ask your employees to get engaged in contributing the +1s. Because they have them. You just need them to give them opportunity to share them with you and permission to use those. So in the hotel environment, when I managed Disney's hotels, I used to tell the housekeepers, what could you do to plus it by 1? And that's where they started to get the washcloths and make little characters out of them, or take all the kids' dolls together and put a little note. That's a +1. Doesn't cost any extra money. Not that much effort. But when they came back to the rooms, it was a wow. And it's these little things that you and your staff can do, little extras, whether it's gifts, whether it's if you're in a restaurant business, you can give little samples, whether you can just come out and give advice, free, just some extra advice on something. Those are little things that people will remember and talk about, and you can always get better and better and better.
And let's take a restaurant, for example. How many times, and I bet you your answer is going to be just about 0, Have you been in a restaurant and you may be there with a business colleague, so you spend $150 or $200 on dinner, and instead of that restaurant thinking, okay, well, they're high-end spenders, so we'd like them to come back more often, how often has the waiter or the restaurant manager come across and said, look, coffee's on us? And they give you a beautiful cup of coffee or 2 cups or whatever it may be, which will cost them 40 or 50 cents. Never happens. It never happens. And I'm sure that you or I have experienced it once or twice, but not very often. And, you know, how often does, you know, the lawn mowing guy wash your windows before he leaves? And you don't need a college degree to have a bucket with some soap in it and a squidgy and just wash the windows. It's really, really simple to do this +1 stuff. And the good news for you as a business owner being part of this program is that if you follow these tips and you run your business like Disney, you will be one of under 5% of businesses worldwide that do it, because I'm telling you, less than 5% of businesses worldwide even understand, let alone execute, direct response marketing the Disney way. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully tomorrow or today, depending upon what time you're watching this, you decide to sit down and come up with how to wow or how to
Plus it by this much. That's all you need. Just plus it by 1, and you'll see the magic created in your business.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.